welcome to the Bloody Bunch podcast number 35. Today, with me, Balfour, with the audio asshole, Buddy, and with the lovely Lauren.
Honey, I'm sorry.
You guys didn't hear it, but there was a big pop that happened in the beginning of us attempting to record.
Which was me.
I took the bullet and just like, oh.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast with us three. It's been quite a week for all of us. Well, I mean, you just rescued a... What type of bird was it?
Oh. It was a pink and grey galah.
Can you
It was a galah. It's a kind of big parrot. I don't know. Smaller than a macaw, bigger than a budgie.
Yeah, so Lauren was on her way home from work today, and apparently she saw this bird being destroyed by...
Crows. On the side of the road. Crows, yeah.
Which I like crows.
Oh, God.
Beautiful. But that sucks that they were ganging up on this poor innocent bird. And Lauren, being the amazing woman she is, decided to be like, hey, I'm gonna go save this bird.
Shush.
Dude, no one does that. No one
Yeah,
looks at
no
the
one-
side of the street and just goes, yeah, I'm gonna help out that animal. They go, that sucks.
Or with me, because I'm that type of person where I see him going, how far it's close to the street, and I just think, I could get 2 points to that, and just slowly move my vehicle. And you just hear, poof. Yes.
So yes, the fact that you pulled over and rescued this bird, took it to the vet, is... I commend it. Because
Yes. Bless your heart. You're too good for this world.
Damn right.
My God.
Lauren's like, shut up. Stop praising me. God.
Shut up.
She's like, no, stop praising me. You
Like,
just feel like
she's
puts,
blushing too.
This is my Halo Titans.
he's just like, she just puts on a little tiara. It's like, stop.
I become Jordis.
Oh,
Oh
God.
my
The
God.
transition is complete.
So, for those who don't know, Jordis is Lauren's Dungeons and Dragons character, which this past Friday was pretty intense. They got to battle.
She actually had to be noble with it.
Yeah, they got to fight a very strong character. And if you guys haven't checked it out, you guys should check it out on either our Twitch channel or our YouTube channel, where we archive all of our stuff anyway.
Yeah, it was the most epic battle, and we actually had good rolls. I mean, it was mixed in with some flops, like always, but we actually had good rolls in a battle. It's amazing.
You specifically, who usually roll like a 5 or a 6 when you're attacking.
Yeah, I just don't do any damage. I don't necessarily have a critical failure, but I don't really do damage very often.
You don't have a good track record when it comes to attacking. But this past Friday,
Buddy,
you
on the
were
other hand.
kicking ass, and Buddy was kicking ass as a monk.
He had bloody MVP of the game, that epic move.
He did. It was a lot of fun. So, I'm really excited for this Friday to kind of unravel more of the story for you guys, because things definitely got heated during this last session.
Well, yes, things are either about to go really well or really badly for us again, so it's going to be interesting to see the fallout
Yeah, and
from here.
the stuff that they're dealing with is all original story based stuff, so you won't be able to see it anywhere else except for our streams and stuff. So join us on Friday nights, every Friday night at 8 p.m. There's my little plug.
Do it.
And so, usually when we're recording the podcast, we have our webcams on. That way we can see each other and react in a certain way. And Lauren's camera was not focusing on her, so she was like, pushing her hand on the camera. She's like, but
I
hopefully...
was trying to do it subtly.
But hopefully, I want to... Because we've talked about doing, like, a video podcast, that way people can see it. But I want to eventually have this up on our Twitch channel. Granted, it's like 2 in the morning over here in California, but regardless, I still think it'd be kind of cool to get that.
Have like a live podcast or something.
Yeah.
I mean, we're awake, so I'm sure other people are awake to watch it.
Absolutely. There's absolutely people who are awake. There's people who probably just woke up that would probably watch this.
Yeah. There's people who it's 5 in the who have who I'm giving up on that sentence. It's 5 p.m. here, so there's other people awake in other countries.
Oh, that was...
Start over. Do over.
That was adorable.
You flipped
That was
so
adorable.
hard right there. Holy shit.
Just-
And that's what you guys would get if we were doing this. Like, well, I mean, like, because another thing is we don't edit down the podcast too much. I mean, thankfully, because we're this far in, we know what things we should say and what things we should say on a podcast, which is why I'm happy that we have regular people on the podcast, because they know what to say and what not to say in terms of, not censorship, but
just appropriate.
Yeah, just being appropriate for the podcast. And I know we cuss a lot and shit. See?
And shit.
But,
Plus, yeah, we waffle a bit.
Yeah, we try not to stir the pot too much. So because of that, I just feel like it'd be... Maybe we'll do that for, like, the 50th episode. It's like a little milestone.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's only a handful of weeks away.
Yeah, we'll have to figure it out. I know, like, 35. I didn't think we'd make it to 35. I didn't think we'd make it past 20. But eventually we did.
It's like that little podcast baby that you're seeing grow up, and it's just like, fuck.
The podcast is the egg-shaped egg.
It's the egg-shaped egg. I'm sad because that is an inside joke that no one is going to understand.
Not even if they actually watch the content that it came from. They'll be like, and then I keep referencing it because I can't help myself.
So going back to the Dungeons and Dragons thing, I think this was our first session. It was our first session for our campaign with the Oibos. And for those who don't know, the backstory of my world is magic, and anything involved with magic is completely banned from all the kingdoms, along with mythical creatures and everything like that. Which makes Dungeons and Dragons very difficult to, like, write about. So the group eventually found a dragon egg, but because I'm relatively new to being a dungeon master, I was very nervous, and I was trying to explain what they saw and what they discovered. And in the middle of that, my brain broke.
You were describing the egg.
And I described it as an egg-shaped egg. So...
Well, to be fair, you kind of flubbed over it a bit, because you were like, it's an egg-shaped. Well, it's an egg. You were going to try and, like, describe the object. You're like, well, essentially it's an egg.
Yeah, like,
so
I was going to try to go into
it came out
detail.
egg-shaped egg.
Because as a DM, I noticed that I try to go as detailed as possible, because our Dungeons & Dragons group is more based on the narrative aspect than anything else, so I want to try to paint a picture for my players and everything like that. So that's essentially where the egg-shaped egg came from, and that's essentially
and I
the
keep
name
repeating
of
it
this podcast.
over and over and over again.
And what, buddy?
It's like, and it's great that it happened.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a thing that probably comes up in a future part of the campaign. But
I would lose my shit if that happened.
Oh, no, I'm excited though, because this one, I think, from the way that I've written this all out, we should be good for the next, like, 4 months.
Shit!
Yeah,
Damn.
like, there's a lot of stuff that, like, this specific section of the campaign is going in. So, like, for those who don't know, a campaign is a story within a world. And that can last between a few weeks, that can last a few months, depending on how people are playing. And usually our sessions are about 2 or 3 hours long. So considering that's about 4 months, time that by 16 weeks. Time that by
Again,
3.
if you watch our podcast, though, we tend to waffle on a little bit, which doesn't help. But 3 or 4 hours is definitely not long enough as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. But as a DM, I have to try to accommodate a condensed part of the story. 3 hours being condensed. But I don't know. It's a lot of fun. If you guys have never played Dungeons and Dragons, I highly recommend just watching someone play. Or even if you know someone who plays Dungeons and Dragons, I just recommend going over to them, just spectating it, because it's more fun than you think. And I know I mean, now, like, Dungeons and Dragons is actually quote unquote a cool thing because like it's been so popular with Geek and Sundry's run of it. With there's another big campaign, I can't remember its name. That's big on YouTube, and you just see all these Dungeons and Dragons campaigns coming up now, and it's really cool to see that in like going from a stigma to this phenomenon online that people are totally okay with playing Dungeons and Dragons now because people now understand the basic concept and enjoyment from it. It's a combination of, building your communication skills with people, building your storytelling skills, your improvisation skills, even your mathematics, just basic math helps because of stuff that you have to do while you're playing.
Plus, talking about how Dungeons and Dragons is cool now. I mean, obviously, geeks, nerds in general have a stigma following them. And then the step down from that is generally what comes to mind, or at least what used to come to mind when people say, "Oh, I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons." So yeah, to see it coming out like this and seeing, the popular group that you and I watch, Balfour, or at least I know that you and I watch, seeing all of them playing campaigns and then stories coming out about, oh yeah, we've actually been playing this like on the side for years.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's really cool seeing people be proud of the fact that they've been playing for years. Like, so Lauren and I watch Heroes and Halfwits, which is Achievement Hunters Dungeons and Dragons group, and I've watched them for years. Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Rooster Teeth, and I never knew that Jeff was a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan. Nor did I know that Gus was also a huge Dungeons and Dragons player. But their new show...
Gus makes sense.
Yes.
Jeff totally blew my mind. I'm like, there's no way.
Well, Gus and Jeff are also roommates for like 4 years. But what I was getting at is they have a show called Heroes and Halfwits on their channels and website with their friend who they've also been playing with for years.
Frank?
Yes. Frank's
so cool.
Frank is a great DM. He follows me on Twitter. Shout out to Frank.
Hey!
But it's really, really cool to see tabletop gaming take this really interesting turn because of where video games are at right now. Like, it's this weird, like, flip-flop with what's popular right now. So, like, tabletop gaming has always been a huge thing. Monopoly, Guess Who, Game of Life. It's like games you would play as a child. Yeah. But when video games really took off, that was like the biggest market. Is like games, video games. Granted, video games are still a huge market. But
it's tabletop games you can play on your own.
But now it's this weird turn with the new generation of games where people our age are like, yeah, video games are great. I love video games, but I miss the nostalgia of being on a table playing Monopoly or playing Zachigo. Playing all these different tabletop games. And now that that's popular, it's cool to see younger kids going like, oh yeah, I want to play tabletop.
Oh my god, this game.
Yeah, it's like, holy shit, like I never knew that this was a thing. And my favorite
thing
like
about Clue, when it was actually Clue and not Cluedo.
Exactly. But one of my favorite things about D&D is it's improv, it's storytelling, and it's like this weird bowl of everything. Like, it has every aspect to it.
Yes.
So
yeah, you can enjoy it. You can enjoy it for so many, and like you were listing before, like the storytelling, the improv. You can enjoy it for so many different reasons.
And
essentially, if you're only listening or watching someone else play, it's basically an audiobook.
Yeah, essentially, because you're listening to different characters talk. You're listening to a narrator describe the scene, and giving prompts to each other, which is really, really fun. But the cool thing about D&D is, like, it's not even just medieval fantasy. There's different types of role-playing games. Like, there's a Star Wars RPG. Like, there are RPGs that are set in a futuristic time. And it's so broad. You're not broad. But it's so broad. Like, the concept itself is so broad. That you can literally do anything, and that as a writer and a creator, that just thrives my innards. Like, it's just like it feeds me.
It gets the blood pumping to his loins.
It does. It's a lot of fun.
Yep. Delayed reaction. See, improv.
Exactly. No, but yeah, if you guys haven't played a tabletop game, definitely go first. Like, go play Monopoly. That way you can yell at your friends.
I had never played D&D before. I'd never played D&D before meeting you guys, but this is my first campaign. So it's not even like where.
And I'm sorry.
You guys have played before, but you can't. I'm not calling you pros because no way.
No.
So like, you don't have to be good to give it a go. It's fun.
Yes.
As long as you're playing with a group of people that you're comfortable bouncing off of, or at least that you can work with in some way. You don't have to be comfortable with the person, but maybe their improv just seems to work for you. And if you're comfortable enough with your character, and generally, if you've fleshed out your character enough to understand how they should react in situations, then you're pretty well off.
Yeah, I will say...
Go nuts. Have fun with it.
One of the big things, if you're thinking about getting into it, is you need to make sure that you have... Not the perfect group. There's no such thing as the perfect group. But you need to make sure that there is a type of understanding between whoever your game master, dungeon master is, and you as a player. Because as a dungeon master, the dungeon master is in charge of everything. Whether they are reading off of a pre-scripted story, which there are a ton of different stories, which most dungeon masters do. I, on the other hand, love making shit hard on myself. So I immediately started with my own home-brewed campaign. But for me, that makes it fun because it's based off a thing that I am working on. And I have already established a lot of stuff because of the past year that I've been working on this thing.
And you couldn't be using a story that you know better. Like, if you picked a campaign off the internet, you don't know it well enough.
Yeah.
You don't know... Yeah, you just don't know well enough. So this is source material that you can go nuts with.
For me personally, as the dungeon master, it was easier for me because, like you said, I do understand everything. But I know a lot of dungeon masters or a lot of people who want to be dungeon masters. There's a lot of different campaign settings that you can read through, understand a little bit of the story, and try to guide your players to a certain point, which will never get there, and that's okay. But it's you need to make sure that your dungeon master and you understand one another. So, like, when I pitched it to you guys, it was like, I want to try this because I've never tried it before. I don't know all of the rules because it's impossible to remember every single bit of information. So as a dungeon master, I'm still learning the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons because when I used to play Pathfinder with a couple of my older friends. And 5th edition is the newer version of Dungeons & Dragons, which I will say, in my opinion, is the best version because of how well balanced everything is. Very controversial statement.
I don't know any different, but I'm enjoying it.
But you just need to communicate to each other. So it's like, I told everyone, like, this is going to be very narrative heavy. That we're not going to be, like being very picky about where people are on the map and stuff like that, because for those who don't know, for Dungeons and Dragons you can also have like a battlefield where there's like certain movements, like a character has a certain amount of movement on a board, each square is a certain amount of feet per square. It's you look into it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But for us, we're not necessarily very nitpicky on that because we want the narrative to be driven
more naturally.
Exactly. So there are certain things when you guys are in battle where I'll just be like, all right, let's just say you're like 45 feet because of where you went.
Yeah, and let's just say that works because why not?
Yeah.
But also, I mean, even with you running this campaign for us and us playing along, like we were playing this for a while. Well, not a while. It was like a couple of sessions before.
Yeah, it was about
you started streaming it or before you started recording it.
Yeah, so we.
So we played around with it ourselves before even releasing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was a couple of sessions where I was just trying to figure out a good way to kind of present the idea for everybody, and I am constantly trying to find a better way to just make the production better. Because I mean, we can only do so much because of where everyone is currently. No, I mean, it's not just your fault. I mean, like, Buddy is in a different area. Kathy is working half the time. Ed is also in Tucson. So, unfortunately, we can't play it on a table, but at least this is a way for us to continue playing and for everyone to enjoy it. Because I do want people to be interested in the story, which people have been, which is a lot of fun. It's really cool.
And I mean, Roll20 is the perfect alternative. That's what it's designed for anyway, so...
Yeah, exactly. But getting back to the GM and player discussion... a big issue, which I know some people might have, is if your dungeon master is very nitpicky about battle and rules, and he's very strict on that, you need to make sure that you understand that before going in. Because if you have a dungeon master who is very nitpicky about the rules, and it is your first time, and you have no idea what the fuck you're doing, you are going to have a bad time. And
you're going to feel like you can't move as a character. You're going to be questioning everything you're doing when you're supposed to be reacting.
Yes. And it's a learning curve, and hopefully your dungeon master understands that and is aware of that, and kind of takes it into account of, all right, you are a new player, like you don't necessarily understand what you can and can't do.
I mean, the flip side of that, though, is you don't want a dungeon master that's too lax and just lets you get away with stuff, because then if you're either in another new game with other people, or if you try to do something later on and they decide, no, I'm going to come down on that, then you can't evolve as a player.
Yeah.
I imagine you can't. Here's me saying this, and like I said, I haven't played much before, but I can imagine that those restrictions or that freedom would be damaging in some way.
No, absolutely. And, it's just kind of figuring everything out. But don't be afraid to try. That's my thing. It's good for you in multiple ways. It makes you become social. It makes you put yourself in someone else's shoes that you maybe never would.
Actually, that's a really good point. You're social, but it's not you. You're playing someone else. Yeah. You could be playing someone who's the opposite of you. Hell, I'm playing a bitch racist.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. It is very interesting. And, for me, it's very interesting for me because as the Dungeon Master, you have to play every NPC. NPC is non-playable character. So I create a lot of different characters because it is a world. For me, worlds involve many, many people because people influence you as you're on a journey, as you're going through life. You meet individuals that alter specific things. So currently, I am playing Arthrin, Zaya, Muck, Alex, Leo. I think it's it right now. Oh, and then
plus some of the bosses that we haven't. Yeah.
Yeah. So
bosses. What?
Essentially, I am on hand. Like just off the top of my head, I'm currently playing 9 different characters. And I try to give voice to those characters. Because for me personally, I really like giving different voices. It's just something that I enjoy doing. I know it bugs my friends sometimes, especially when I talk like this.
I will beat you with it.
But
actually, funny enough, the only time it's bugged me was with your more recent readings, because I feel like a character that you voice should be a lot sterner than you make her out to be.
I mean,
but that's because of what I know about the character. So, like, it is me putting my own thoughts onto something. It's like, no, I've just got to let him go. But, like, yeah.
And it's also hard because I'm trying to remember how everyone talks too, and it's a new thing for me because it's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but without practice, I'm going into it broadcasting and then just making shit up as I go.
Yeah, that ends up being your practice.
Yeah, so it's different for me, but it's making myself. I'm throwing myself into a position of uncomfortable territory, and it's fun, and that's why I like when you guys tell me what is good and what isn't, because then I can take that criticism and try to remember that as I implement it into the next campaign or any project in general.
I was going to say, which is essentially D&D in a nutshell.
Yeah. So, but it just we've been talking about it for a while. But Dungeons and Dragons, watch it. It's awesome.
Play it.
Don't watch the movie. The movie's not great. But definitely watch D&D.
I don't remember the movie. I want to watch the movie.
But speaking of movies, last week for our movie club, see that segue? Fucking gold.
Yep.
Last week we requested everyone to watch
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. Thank you. I forgot for a second. Blade Runner with Harrison Ford. It's one of the movies that I really like. It's one of my favorite Ridley Scott films. If you guys don't know who Ridley Scott is, you're a fucking monster. He's the director of Alien.
There you go.
Buddy, what
Yes.
do you think of the film?
I rather enjoyed it. It was a very good cast. The story kind of has like a little bit of a like, all right, like it kind of tries to throw you for a loop, and then just go, oh, okay. But that's how I did it, anyways. I enjoyed the scenes. It was slow for the most part, but it was a good pace for the movie.
Yeah, I will say that Ridley Scott does a very good job at bringing in tension with his scenes. It did bug me that there are a lot of really long, drawn-out scenes that felt really out of place.
Yeah.
But they were pretty.
Yeah, I like the soundtrack, too.
Oh my god, soundtrack's phenomenal. But this was Lauren's first time watching the film. Lauren, what'd you think?
Sadly, my quality was very poor, and I think that affected what I thought of the movie, because beyond maybe a handful of scenes, I didn't really enjoy it. So you mentioned the tension. I felt tense in scenes and didn't understand why. Which was my biggest problem. I'm like, wait, what is going on here? Why am I worried about this person? I don't know. And then Harrison Ford also felt a little bit rapey in one scene, which was a bit odd.
About too.
Yeah, that came off as a bit odd for me. I'm like, I mean, it was you ignore that, it was basically. If you ignore that, it was really hot, like that, 5 minute not a sex scene, but like, yeah. But the overall feel of the movie, I liked the, I guess, like lighting and set like and all that. It felt very like grungy, and I thought that was cool.
I really love the set design for Blade Runner. Actually, it was pretty cool because, so as you guys know, my mom and stepdad came into town and we got to take the Universal Studio Tour backlot tour. Mm-hmm. Not the Universal Studios Hollywood tour, but the Universal Studios backlot tour at Universal Studios. Anyway, we got to go through the lot to where they filmed the main shots of LA with that. So like where like the hovercraft and everything for the cops are at, and like the tunnel and everything. We actually got to like go on that lot and see like where
how they set that up.
Yeah, like it's really cool. Ooh, pardon me.
Disgusting.
But I really like this film. It is longer than I remember. Like I said, there's a lot of gorgeous shots. But this movie could have easily been like 15 minutes shorter just by cutting off those shots. Yeah. The story is really intriguing, just because of like life forms, different life forms, who is who, what is what. Like that mystery and suspense is really, really good. I know in the middle of it, Lauren like felt weird because there is like a turn in the story where you feel like you're following Harrison Ford's character for a specific reason, but then he encounters another character which starts an entirely different storyline, and it kind of loses the effect of the first act of the movie.
And then they try and tie it up at the end, and you're like,
yeah, like it just kind of happens. But I will have to say, my favorite scene in this entire film, which I'm sure is a lot of other people's favorite moment in the film, is towards the end when Harrison Ford and I can't remember his name.
I think it's like Rutger or something.
The Edward James, I think.
Edward James Olmos?
Yeah, isn't that?
Gaff, yeah, that's Gaff.
They're fighting on the rooftop, and they have an exchange. Harrison Ford attempts to jump across a big gap and is hanging onto the ledge. You know, it's a very stereotypical...
Precarious thing.
Yeah, it's a Hollywood thing. And
Trope.
he's hanging on to be dear life and is about to fall off as the bad guy is looking down at him. Which, by the way, I love the way that was shot, because you're looking down at Harrison Ford and then you're looking up at him as, like, this monster.
It's perspective. Yeah.
But, like, specifically, it's like, you're looking at a monster. Like, that was... To me, that's what that it was conveying. And Harrison Ford actually drops because Ridley Scott's like, fuck you, Hollywood, I'm gonna do something different. And the bad guy grabs Harrison Ford's arm, saving him, and bringing him up. And he has this fantastic monologue that's essentially like, he gives up, but in a very philosophical way. It's like, he throws realism at Harrison Ford's face. He's like, this is what it is, this is why I did what I did. Fuck it.
But I mean, it's relevant because the antagonist's problem is their short lifespan. But I mean, that can be applied to us. Just because we happen to live longer than 4 years doesn't. It's very relevant.
That's why I said it was a very philosophical monologue. It was fantastic. It is my favorite scene in the goddamn film.
The one scene in that movie that freaked me out was when he goes into Sebastian's room, Harrison Ford.
Yep.
Oh no, that was beyond creepy. No, but it was the one where he has to fight that one chick and she's like doing doing a gymnastics shit.
But she's like dressed up as the doll.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like walking around all the dolls. Yeah.
The one part that made me uncomfortable was the fact that when he finally shot her, she's screaming and having like a temper tantrum on the floor. I'm going, no, stop it. Oh God, why? Just kill it.
Well, yeah, she was basically fitting, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did we say? It was like short-circuiting or something.
Yeah, I said that she was like malfunctioning.
Yeah. But I know one scene that I thought was interesting with the same character, the woman, where she finally meets the Sebastian. She runs off and her arm just goes straight into his window.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh really?
That wasn't supposed to happen because of the rain and everything else. She slid more than she should have.
Oh, so that was she was throwing her arm out. Yeah.
Went through, and I think she had to get stitches afterwards or something because she cut her arm up.
Shit.
They're like,
but it made for a good scene, which is cool.
Shout out to IMDb trivia.
Yeah, I wish I was on there right now to keep looking.
But yeah, no, I think this movie's awesome. It's really, really fun. What I'm going to be doing from now on, because we have this weekly thing, is I'm going to be writing up my personal review of them on the website. So I know that I was doing movie reviews specifically on my own, but I feel like this would be a good way to try to get people to talk about it a little bit more. So from not starting with this movie, but starting with the next movie, just because I want to make sure that I have enough time to write a strong review. Next week, I will be posting a post on the website about the movie that we're going to be watching, which is going to be...
Drum roll.
We talked about this earlier.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh,
Antonio
bugger.
Banderas.
I remember. Yep.
What the hell's the name of the film? Hold on.
Who's in it?
He dances.
I'll take the lead.
Take the lead. All right, thank you. Yes. So we're going to be watching Take the Lead with Antonio Banderas. It is based on a true story of a high school teacher who teaches these kids that are in detention how to ballroom dance.
It's like anger management, but not sort of thing. But yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's based on a true story.
It's a great movie.
It is a fantastic film. Antonio Banderas is amazing. Rufio's in it.
And hello, watching them salsa. Oh
yeah, it's fantastic. Choreography is amazing.
Keep it in your pants, please.
I will say, I'm not a huge fan of like rap and hip hop, but the soundtrack to this film is very, very good. Because like they try to stereotype the type of kids who are in detention.
Of course,
they do, and therefore the music influence it ties in very well. It's very well done.
Yes, and this movie came out in 2006. So I feel like this is a really good film. Lauren had brought it up because I don't know why she brought it up. Actually, why did you bring it up?
I don't remember. I must have been thinking about it.
But anyway, so this is the synopsis on IMDb. The real story of a dance teacher who believed in the talent of a group of problem kids. That just screams movie.
I can think of 3 different movies that are like that.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
There's the basketball one with Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, Coach Carter.
Yeah.
Then there's I forget the other one's name. Where it's like she teaches a class.
Is it Sandra Bullock?
Yes, I think.
Yeah. There is one with her in it anyway. I don't know if it's like that.
There's that one, and then there was another one that involved a principal with Morgan Freeman. I forget the name of that one.
Yeah.
He was like a very tough principal.
I couldn't remember the name of that.
I'm gonna look it up right now. You guys keep talking.
But yeah, so this week's movie is gonna be Take the Lead. So make sure to watch that this week. That way we can talk about it next week, and you guys can check out the post that I'm going to be making on the website about my review. I like the movie, but we'll see. Your tastes change, and when you get older, you see certain things, and might change your opinion a little bit.
So out of curiosity, I just went back through our conversation to see why I started talking about it. I didn't even segue.
Nope.
I was just like, "Hey, have you seen this movie?"
There's no context before it. It was just, "Hey, have you seen this?" It's like, yes, I have.
I can't remember. But yeah, and I'm typically not a fan of dance movies because I know Step Up and all them. That was really big around that same time, and this was that take on it, but I like this.
See,
I like this because this is dancing.
Yeah.
No offense to those who are in dance groups and stuff, but to me, dancing is a combination of things. I want there to be one consistent song of different dance moves as you're flowing through with grace and etc. When it comes to dance groups and stuff like that, it's 8 different pop songs connected all into one, which changes rhythm and changes tempo, and it's this feels really awkward to me because it doesn't feel complete. It's just bits and pieces.
That's a very specific thing that you're pointing out. That's only one area, but yes, I get what you mean.
Yeah. And that's for me personally. If you're a dancer, that's great, awesome, continue dancing, but don't just think that dancing is just that one thing, because thousands of different dances and thousands of different things that you can do as a dancer. Try to brighten
different forms of expression.
Yeah, just brighten your horizon a little bit as a dancer. Try to be the best dancer you can be.
And that's what the movie does as well. There's obviously these kids are shit, I don't want to learn how to dance. And then there's one scene, and he shows them why they should learn how to dance.
Yes, they watch it and it's fantastic. It's a good way to entice people to be like, hey, listen, you might not like this because of this instance, but look if it's implied to something that you might enjoy. And I feel like that is a good lesson for us in general, is to be like, all right, you might not like it, but what if it's implemented in a way that relates to you? And that's something that my mom...
That ties into what you're already doing.
Yeah, and that's something that my mom instilled in me when I was younger, is I was a piece of shit kid when I was younger, and my mom just had to figure out how to get through to me. And once she figured out that music is a huge thing, then she ended up doing things that involved music that really caught my attention, and that's essentially how I became not as shitty as I was before. So thanks, Mom.
That's essentially parenting.
It is. It's great parenting.
Some parents go, "Shut your mouth. Here's a chocolate," and some parents go, "Hey, let's sit down for a minute and figure this out."
See, I was that weird kid because if my mom put a chocolate bar in front of me, I'd just be like, "Can I get a fruit?" And I'm still I'm like that now. I would much rather have a piece of fruit than a piece of chocolate. Ugh.
I'd be like, "Can I have both?"
Spoiled.
You mix it together.
I was going to throw out your privilege, but I don't want to throw you under the bus.
Oh my god.
I mean, that wasn't a thing for me anyway. I didn't have to be bribed with food. I had to be bribed to come out and socialize.
I think we all have.
I'm like that now.
I think that's all of us now who are currently listening. So changing the subject.
Away from our awkwardness.
The past couple of weeks I've been trying to catch up on all the games that I've been playing and trying to get back into my gamer score. This past Sunday and Monday, I've been playing through
every consequent day.
Yeah, I've been playing through Master Chief Collection again because I finally got over my abuse that I suffered from Halo 2, and
Your rage quit.
I finished. I did. It wasn't. It was. Oh, I don't want to relive it. I have to relive it because I had to do Lasso. Anyway, finished through ODST, which is great, and now it started on Halo 3. But because of this, going forward, every once in a while, we are probably going to be streaming Sunday nights for me to get through a lot of the Xbox games that I'm trying to get through because there's a lot of them, as well as the achievements that I've been wanting to get, because currently right now I'm trying to get to 20,000 gamer score, which I know for a lot of people it's like, the fuck, who cares? But to me it's just, it's a number that
it's those people.
But I'm just trying to get to that number right now, and Master Chief Collection is definitely going to be something that's going to be an easy, I mean, from where I'm at right now, it's still going to be an easy 2,000 gamer score, just because of how you progress through the game. What?
It's easy because of the way you're progressing. It's not easy to achieve. It's just you're going to get them. It's through storyline alone, you're going to get them. Yes.
Well, because for those who don't know, in Halo there are 4 different levels that you can play through the game. You can play through normal. Wait.
You can play through easy, insane,
normal,
insane.
No, easy, normal, hardcore, and legendary. And I only play games on the hardest level, other than Gears of War, because Gears of War is a piece of shit, and you have to beat one hard level to unlock the next hard level. Fuck you, developers. I hate when you do that. I hate having to go through a game twice for no reason. Like, it's annoying.
How about because you enjoy it?
But I want to be able to... Anyway, so... with Halo 1, 2, and 3, they have hidden skulls on the map, which unlock, like, different things throughout the game. It'd be like... the grunt's head pops off and there's like confetti and it goes, hey! Or there's like, it turns off your radar or whatever. It's these different things that alter the game. If you're going through Legendary, there's only specific skulls that appear on Legendary. So I'm trying to complete the games all on Legendary because you get an achievement for that. But in doing so, you also unlock the heroic, normal, and easy achievements all at the same time.
I stack.
Thank fucking Christ, because I would kill myself if I had to play through each game 4 different times.
If you specifically had to through the Master Chief Collection, through the Master Chief Collection. If you were playing through them all individually, which thousands upon thousands of people have probably already done, not so hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, so that's what I'm currently going through right now. So the way that I'm progressing, or the way that I'm doing this, I'm easily getting, like 500 gamer score each game
per game. Yeah.
So
assuming that you continue like you have been and complete a game once you're done with it.
Yeah. So right now, currently doing Halo 3, and then the next will be Halo 4, and then after that will be Halo 5, and Halo 5 has its own achievements that I'm going to be trying to get through as well. So that's what I'm trying to work on, and that's the reason why every so often Sunday will also be a streaming day for me. We'll probably be streaming, from the way that it looks like, probably 7 to 8 hours because of the amount of stuff that I'm trying to get through. Earlier today, we were playing through Dead by Daylight, and I asked the chat, if it would be okay if they just saw me dying over and over and over again, trying to progress through stuff. And a lot of them said that they didn't care exactly what was on screen, just as long as, I was streaming
it was
and being entertaining. So, being...
And plus, you dying over and over again, so entertaining.
It is because of your reaction.
The anger!
Yeah.
Like, what was it? Like, you were close to the exit, and you got hit. And you went down.
Dude, I punched my desk today because I was so pissed off.
Yeah.
What?
You did it because...
So this is what happened. So we're playing Dead by Daylight. I opened up one exit. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me preface this. So for those who don't know what Dead by Daylight is, it's a survival horror game.
That was really popular about 2 months ago.
Yeah, in which you have to activate 5 generators in order to give power to the doors, and then you have to unlock the doors in order to escape purgatory. Because you're in purgatory, and you have to run away from this crazy murderer who has different abilities. So, Buddy and I are playing, everything's fine. I open a door, Buddy opens the door, Buddy leaves. As he leaves, one of our teammates gets put on a hook. And I'm like...
That was close to him.
Yeah, and that was really close to me, and I was like, all right, I can either be an asshole and leave, or I can be a
You can either
teammate.
save the bird from the crows, or you can drive home.
Exactly. So I was like,
Basically.
fuck, what should I do? So, reluctantly, I was like, all right, I'll go and get him off the hook. So I rush over there, get him off the hook, start running away. As we're running away, the killer comes up right behind me, and we get to the end, like where the door is at. The killer hits me and lets the other guy go he just leaves.
So wait, had you
So,
already? Were you already hit?
Yeah, so also
Like, were
so
you
they
already?
hit me
You're
and I
already.
went down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was pissed. I was like, God damn it. Do it. Like, I was typing back and forth because you have to try to wiggle out of his clutches. Fortunately, I was able to.
Wiggle.
Continue to run all the way forward. Continue to run all the way there.
It's
all
him
the way
again.
there. Almost to the end to where, like, I went through the door, but almost to the very end of the map. Hits me right at the end. As soon as that happened, I got out of my chair and I smacked my desk. I was like,
Babe!
I was mad.
Don't get angry. It's not your desk's fault.
I was mad because
It's
I
always
could
the
have
desk's
lived.
fault.
I could have lived.
Nope.
I could have lived. All right, I could have been an asshole and let that guy live, or let that guy die. But no, I had to be a good teammate and get his ass off the hook, in which he got to survive. However, it was
Therefore,
really cool.
the moral of the story is don't do
hold on,
things.
not done yet. However, it was really cool because the killer, apparently he understood what was going on, and just left me on the floor and let me crawl to escape. So I survived, which was cool. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, it was awesome. Good for that guy because he's a team player, and immediately after I was like, GG.
Or his game freaked out and he froze and he couldn't do anything about it.
No, I don't think... Because he picked me up. Like, he picked me up and then put me down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I was angry. Everyone on stream got to see it today, and I was... Man, I was so mad.
It was great. I enjoyed it.
But if you guys are interested in Dead by Daylight, you guys should check our stream out on Wednesday nights, because we play Friday the 13th and Dead by Daylight. Currently on the Dead by Daylight kick, because we were on Friday the 13th for quite a while. And just getting tired of seeing Jason all the time. So instead, we're seeing Michael Myers all the time.
Oh my god, that was so dumb.
But yeah, so... But I think that is it for this week. Thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and on SoundCloud. Don't forget to sign up with us on the websites. Stay updated with our community playdates, which we will be having in the near future. Also with our movie reviews. Don't forget to watch Take the Lead.
Take the lead.
That way we can talk about that next week. And we will see you guys for another podcast. See ya!
Bye.